Today, I'm going to get raw and real with you how I went from this to eventually being able to play Division I football at a premier program. The mindset that it takes, who I had to become, how I made this transformation, and the whole journey. Going to keep it real, keep it raw, keep it honest, step by step. And where we're going to start is right over here. So if you guys don't know me, my name's Nolan Ulm. I'm a D1 football captain and online fitness professional. I help entrepreneurs, executives, managers completely optimize their health and fitness and their performance so they can maximize their income, energy, and impact. And I just love helping people, and I'm on a journey to be my best self, and this YouTube channel is that. So I'm going to share with you guys a little story here about Rocky Balboa, my life, and really just how I've created myself into who I am today, where I'm running a successful business, making money, which that was a struggle too initially. Being a captain, when I first got here, I got made fun of. I used to get called Baby Gap. And how I got my dream body, that was a huge thing too. How I went from having no confidence, how we went from, my mom was a single mother, we were in low-income housing, she was eating 3-layer dip for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And so I'm going to talk about that all today, and it all leads back to this. So I'm going to get real vulnerable with you guys. I was so lost early in life. I was so lost. This is me. And this doesn't even show all the years before this too. I was so insecure, so skinny. This is like an American Apparel low-cut circle shirt. Don't know what's going on with my hair. It's funny because I was actually in so much mental pain and pain from such a lack of confidence. I mean, look at my shorts and shoes too. I did not have the drip figured out at all. This is me going to summer camp with my cousin when I was, I think I was 14 at the time. And, back then I was doing stuff I shouldn't have done. I was opening my phone up and looking at things I shouldn't have looked at and making decisions that I regretted off of that. And I was not working out consistently. I was playing video games all day. I was just obsessed with girls and messaging them and doing not smart things there too. Never anything crazy. Don't want you to get the wrong impression. Just waste of energy, waste of time. I was so lost. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Now, one thing I always had was football, and I was always pretty decent at it. Now, it was a small town in Canada. I'm from Kelowna, British Columbia, Canada. Small town in Canada, so it wasn't anything to write home about, right? And you can see here even too. I just love this. Look how skinny my arm is there. Holy smokes. So that's me, ninth grade year. And how does this lead back to Rocky? So before we were about to go on a vacation, family vacation to Hawaii. So at this point in time, I'll tell another story about how we got a low-income housing. At this point in time, we're living in a good house. My stepdad's in my life, and we have a really good way of living. So we're going to go to Hawaii for a vacation. His parents owned a house out there, so we got to go stay there for free. So it was a very doable vacation for us finance-wise. And we go to Maui, and it's incredible. Before we go, I'm walking through the living room, and we got our TV. It's constantly running. That's another story too. So I'm walking through the living room, and I look, and I see a Rocky 5 at the time. I didn't know there was a 5th Rocky. And he's training this guy. Those of you that know, I think it's Tommy Gunn or something like that. It's a weird Rocky. I tell everyone, always skip that one. I really skipped the last two, but do not watch Rocky 5. It'll ruin your heart. The Rocky 5 is so weird. And anyways, off of that, I'm like, okay, you know what? I've never really seen all the Rockies, and I didn't even know there was a 5th Rocky. Grandma, can you get me the Blu-ray set of Rocky at the time? And so I get the 6-pack of Blu-rays, and I take them to Hawaii, and I'm so stoked to watch them. And like I said, at this point, lost, just attitude, my parents, a lot of hormones, puberty, all this sort of stuff. And up to that point, I was pretty lost. And I know this sounds dramatic because a lot of people are super lost when they're young. But for me, I just knew there was something so much bigger for me. and I knew I had so much more potential inside, and I was a really, really hard worker. It just needed to be released. The obsession needed to be released onto something that was productive, something that was going to serve my higher self. I needed a compelling future, something to chase after. So I put in the first Rocky, and I'll never forget that moment when he wakes up, 4 a.m., cracks the eggs, and the scene, the song, it's called Philadelphia Morning, and still every single morning I play it just to remind me where I came from. It just gives me chills because it reminds me that we can all create ourselves. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. It's just, it means so much to me because in that moment, I had a glimpse of who I really could be and the life that I could have. And when I was 5, my dad passed away in a motorcycle accident, my biological father. And it just awoke a lot of things for me, that we really only do get this one life. And so I'm watching Rocky run down the street, and he's beat up. The only people that are awake are the male people. Like, it's not glorious at all. And he's huffing and puffing. And that hit me, and I just knew that I'd been running from that for years. And I knew as an athlete, I wanted to succeed. And I knew that the magic was in the morning, and the magic was in the work, in the weights for me at the time. I knew I needed to hit the weights and get on a training program. And watched all the Rockies after that. That first one, though, it stuck with me. And I was changed coming back from Hawaii. And right when we got back, I started waking up at 5 a.m. And I would do squat Monday, bench Tuesday, deadlift Thursday, would rest Wednesday, and then Friday I think it was just calisthenics or something like that. And I would go to the CrossFit gym after school, go work out with my stepdad around that time. So I was working out twice a day, started eating a ton of food. I had no money. I was in high school or middle school, but I found a way to get on with a nutritionist and get a consultation from her. So this was right around that time when I really decided to start to change. I started carrying a water bottle around everywhere. And I asked people like what to do. So I was doing CrossFit at the time, and then there was coaches at the CrossFit gym, and I got in a Facebook group with one of them, and then my stepdad too. And I would put videos in there every morning. It was called the Monday Training Crew. And at one point I'll make a YouTube video and I'll show you guys those videos. And I still have them in there. Me doing pull-ups, all sorts of stuff. I'm asking about form, and then we put together a plan, CrossFit, football, all this sort of stuff. So I started working out and really started to work on myself. And I became someone that I was proud of. Did I still have some of the vices? Yeah, but I was aware of them, and I was fighting them, and I was becoming who I needed to become. And at that point in time, I started to, I just was kind of working hard to change my life. And I'm working hard to change my life, but I didn't really have like a true goal yet. I didn't have a true goal. I was just waking up in the morning. It felt so good. I'd run around our block, and it would be freezing cold. I mean, it's Canada in the winter. I remember one time it was coming down snow. I put a scarf like over my face, didn't have a belly clava or a ski mask or whatever you call it in the US, and had a beanie or toque on my head, just completely covered up. Still always found a way. I never made excuses. I just started journaling. I started doing everything. Like, it just was all at once. Obsessive, all in. And some people, they do that, they go 100 and they fall off, and I just like never did. I never changed. There was so much emotional pain to where I was before, and I just didn't like who I was. And I asked myself, I said, is what I'm doing right now, would it be in a documentary? Would it be in a movie one day? Like, why not be legendary? Why not? Why not do something that's just so inspirational? Why not go make my life incredible? Why not go do something that I'm so proud of years from now? And so the goal came to me, and I was sitting in the corner of a computer lab in this, little middle school classroom. There's computers all over the place. And I'm in the corner in this one of those like circle chairs. And Instagram, I'm on Instagram and I see this guy named Chase Cota who had committed to Oregon or committed to UCLA, sorry, at the time. And I saw this guy and he looked like me, a better version of me at the time. And I said, that's what I want. And that's when I had clarity. So Instagram can be a positive thing. I had so much clarity that it was D1. And from then on, it was D1. I wrote it everywhere. I talked about it with everybody. I brought it up all the time. I got obsessed. I went up, I looked up what are the requirements for a D1 receiver. You got to have this, you got to have that. Boom. Like I said to you guys, I had the plan in place. And then every single year got better and better. So I got a true coach that coached me and trained me up. And he used to play pro football. And that's another story too. Totally was just attracted and guided into my life. This is crazy, and I believe in synchronicity. So I was watching a YouTube video a couple of weeks ago. One of my really good buddies and mentors, Jeremy Pogue, and he made a YouTube video about his journey, and he talked about synchronicities, and that's when things show up that are like coincidences, and it's showing you that you're on the right path, especially if you're doing the right inputs. And Jared Zaleski was his name, and I was practicing in 6th grade, so it goes way back. He came by, and he was in the CFL at the time, and he came on the field, and he saw we were long snapping, so he was a long snapper and tight end, and he came in, and he was like, hey, I saw you guys long snapping, I'm going to teach you, so boom. That was my first interaction with him. And then, again, in 9th grade, he went to my high school KSS, and he came by, and Kelowna Senior, you guys see the uniform right here. And he came by, and it was just like he happened to walk by right when I made this crazy play on the senior DB. And in his head, he tells a story all the time. If you guys have seen the documentary that Ben Ferris made on me on my channel, he talks about how he was like, this kid could be something special. And then from there, it turned out to be, he really became my big brother. And I always dreamed of having a big brother. I never did. I was an only child, and he really became that. And he guided me through this whole journey. So anyways, when they say the student is ready, the teacher appears, and he appeared. And so it was totally just a hero's journey. And it's funny, what it takes. Like I said, it took an obsession that a lot of other people didn't understand. And even now it's funny, back then D1 was everything, and you make it D1, and that's you're like Hollywood, the man. No one had ever made it fully, raised in Kelowna all the way up. No one had made it D1 through the ranks before. So I was the first one to do it. And it was such a grind, and it took just an intense mindset. But I say all that, now it kind of feels like, as I get in the business world, it's like nobody really cares about that. It's funny, right? But it took the whole commitment of my soul. Every single second of the day, I was only thinking about going D1. And that's why this is an intense path to choose, to be honest with you. If you want to do it, you better love the game. You better love the game so much, and know that if you put this energy that I'm talking about right now, this obsession, this action taking into anything else, your payoff will be so much quicker, so much faster. With sports, it's so much more of a risk, Forget about injuries. Screw that. I don't believe in that. You can prevent that and not do stupid stuff. The only reasons I've got injured were my own fault. Yes, there are freak accidents, but you can overcome, those injuries. Forget about injuries. There's so many other things that have to go well outside of your control. And so the whole point of this is just to talk about what it took for me to change. And like I said, that attack, that approach, and I still do every single day. Every single minute is accounted for. Every single second is accounted for. And it's all poured into one thing. And when you put your eggs into one basket, it's pretty incredible. One vision, one future, the payoffs that you'll get. You will become so efficient, other people couldn't even understand how efficient you are. It'll overwhelm them by how masterfully you live your days. So to bring it back to, in that computer lab, and I got that vision, I got that clarity, and I started, taking that action. It wasn't perfect at all. It wasn't. However, every single day, I was so committed to being a better version of myself. And I would definitely go too hard at times and then get sick and then whatever. And I overtrained for sure. Do I regret it? Absolutely not, because it made this. And I took this with me everywhere. And, eventually you grind, and like things just got, things got different. Like certain people just stopped wanting to hang around with me, and I was too intense. Like I took it too far, especially with how I treated people. But like, you were either going to be a good influence of me going D1 or not. Like everything went towards that, right? And so it just was like all the success things that people talk about. Like everyone hated on me. Everyone said I couldn't do it. A basketball coach told me to my face I couldn't do it. There was one day I was walking through the gym, and then he pulled me aside and he was like, basically there was one other guy that went D1, but he transferred in, and then he was 18 his senior year. So it was like a way different situation. And then he didn't actually end up playing his whole career out at the D1 school. Incredible guy though. Like I looked up to him too. And he came and he said, does anyone compare to Taylor Loeffler? And that was the guy's name. Does anyone compare to Taylor Loeffler? Basically saying like, you have no chance to go D1. And he told that to me. So it's all the things that they talked about. Other people said I was too crazy, whatever. Do I care now? No. No. Because eventually the work started to pay off. And then people respected me. People looked at me a different way. Then they were saying that, oh yeah, like, yeah, that was my guy. Like I played with him. And it's just like so funny how it goes down like that, And that was tough too, navigating that. But guess what? Every year, you know what I would do? I would watch this. And I would never forget this. And I just was so obsessed with the vision of becoming, and a lot of it was physically, I was so obsessed with hitting this certain vision, and that was so easy to see. And that's why I really believe a lot of the change can start with the physical. You change your physical body, you just change the way you feel about yourself, you respect about yourself. And without getting all into too specifics of the journey, right? Like it was just a year after year approach. And I would take time every year, and like in December after the season was over, I'd relax and let the body come back and all these sort of things. But like the off season, and this is where like there's seasons of life, and this is a lot of the mindset that it took too. I approached every off season, it was way more important than the season, and which is crazy, right? But like you apply that to business, right? Like there's going to be seasons of grind where you're building the back end, where or even fitness, right? Like where you're building, you're not really seeing many results, but you're investing for like 90 days out, etc., right? And the biggest thing with that is like the mindset that I had that I'll take with me forever was, this is the most important time, because nobody else is going to be willing to go to the hell that I'm going to be willing to go to. 4:30 wake ups, training 3 times a day, ice baths, stretching. I would do 300 push-ups a night. I literally had marks in my carpet from how many times I used my hands on those, on the spots in the carpet. 300 push-ups. And it was relentless. Lunchtime, I'd go watch film on, like, everything was always pouring into it. And a lot of times, too, that work didn't pay off right away. So why didn't I stop? And that's something that I think about, too. Like, you might be reaching out to all the leads. You might be hitting the gym. You might be eating the right foods, and you're still not seeing results. Why is that? And that's such an interesting question to ask. And then, like, why do some people stop and some people don't? And for me, there was no going back. There was no going back to this, because I felt like just shit about myself. There was no going back to this. And on top of that, I had people that had invested in me. I invested in them to invest in me. And more importantly, it was a vision that wasn't from me. It was beyond myself. It was from God, I believe. And whatever you believe in, I believe it's all the same, rivers leading to the same valley. But I believe that God had really put this vision, this goal on my heart, and I was called. And who I was at my core was a grinder, was somebody that could go do these things. And I wasn't going to let him down. I wasn't going to let my father down that had passed away. And so these reasons kept me going through all these trials and these tribulations. And it took years, right? It took years. And I sacrificed, I like to say, a lot. So what else got me there? What else got me to being a D1 football captain and where I'm at now? Well, I just changed the way I viewed who was successful and who I really looked up to. There was a popular crew at our high school, and they would sit at this lunch table every lunch, and people would they're the cool ones, blah blah blah, they were looked up to. And I'm going to be honest, I could future cast and I could see with the action that they were taking where they were going to be. Everyone had big dreams. Everyone wanted to go D1 as an athlete. Everyone wanted to, go get this scholarship here or there. Everyone wanted to go impact the world, blah, blah, blah. Some didn't. Some just wanted to live up high school. And this is no judgment. This is just observation. They weren't doing the work. And I could see where they were going to end up. And it was just going to be mediocre jobs and, a life that a lot of them weren't going to be very fulfilled with. And I wasn't going to do that. I was going to go all in. Going all in, knowing well my heart could be broken, but I knew it wouldn't, because the work that I put in would make success inevitable. And I knew that it was on my heart, and I was guided, and that it would all work out. And so I just started to change that, and I casted the vision to a different place. And there were some people that, some of my good friends, a lot of us wanted to go D1, and they just didn't make the choices they needed to make, unfortunately. And they got dragged down, and a lot of it was who they were surrounding themselves with, and it just wasn't, they weren't making those legendary choices. When you could go to the party or you could come work out. With me, they didn't make the choice to come work out. And so in those little moments, it's all about those legendary choices as you go to achieve your vision. And I know I'm kind of bouncing all over the place here. I'm just kind of, what did it take to get there, right? What did it take to eventually get to this point? And this is way down the line, right? This is last year, Big Sky Football Media Day. And it's so cool even just to talk about all this stuff with you guys, because I'm no different than any of you. I believe you all are chosen, and you all have a calling, something to bring to fruition that's on your heart, some higher version of yourself that you're called to become. And it's up to you to be in a place where you're ready to receive that. And a lot of that comes from stillness and transcending. And if you don't know what I mean, transcendental meditation, or just looking within. And that's so key. And getting around the right people. Like I said, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And the more that you see these synchronicities that I'm talking about, these signs that you're on the right path, and follow them, the more you're going to feel in step. And eventually you'll reach that fulfillment. Because all that we really care about is being fulfilled at the end of the day. It's that feeling that we're looking for, right? So the biggest thing too is doing the inputs that you should be doing. I've found in my life, there's not as many synchronicities when A, I'm not paying attention, B, I'm trying to control too much. Yes, you need to cast a vision. Yes, you need to do the work. When you grab too hard, the water pours out of your hand, right? Be water, grab the water, flow with life. You'll be redirected. And a lot of times God's rejection is God's protection too. My dream school was in Eastern Washington. It was Stanford. I'm so glad I came to Eastern Washington. It was the perfect place for me. I didn't think I was going to be playing another year of college football this year. Fractured my ankle last year. I overtrained. I learned a really good lesson for the rest of my career. So, anyways, I say all this to tell you what it took for me, and hopefully you guys can see what it's going to take for you and your journey and whatever you're looking after, right? It's going to take these same principles. And if you don't know what you want, I would say follow the pain. For me, it's my father passing away when I was 5. There's a lot of pain there. Follow where you feel the most insecure, because the cave that you fear to enter the most often holds the treasure that you seek. And I always ran from this stuff, the strength stuff. I used to come last in push-up competitions, stretching, etc. And then I just started to do the work that would get me better at those. And then you just feel so much better. So just do the work and do the inputs. Because like I said, if you're doing the inputs that are aligned with, the vision that you're called to, I believe you'll see all these synchronicities and you'll be guided, and you'll consciously create your future until a certain point you're like, whew, I'm definitely just going to let go of the wheel and I'll be guided to somewhere that I couldn't even imagine before. Like, we get so frustrated sometimes. I used to get so frustrated in certain moments. I mess up in a game, I drop some balls, whatever. But if I just let go and really realize that was all just teaching me and it was leading me to a higher level of consciousness in order to get to this and beyond. I mean, I'm not even close to scratching my full potential yet. But just acknowledging that and knowing that all those are just lessons to get to here. And so these are all these little stories, little metaphors, anecdotes that really help me become, an elite football player, one of the best football players in our conference, and have the opportunity to be scouted by NFL scouts and be on radars for the NFL. Need to go have a really good year next year. However, the opportunity is all there. So it's ironic that I make this on the day of the draft this year. Hope next year we'll be in the situation of the guys. We're waiting on a phone call today. And I appreciate all you guys for all your support. Going to do a lot more of this and really just come from the heart and just use YouTube to creatively serve you guys and give you these lessons and these things that I really think will serve you in the long run, and tell you these stories and ways of thinking. And so this is some of the stuff that I'm the most passionate about. I'm just keeping it so raw and real with you guys of, how I created myself into, my goal is to come here and be the hardest worker at Eastern Washington ever. And that's saying something with the dogs that have come through here. And the coaches that have been here all these years said that I've done that. And so I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that to show you what's possible coming from where I came from. And that through that commitment to growth, to hard work, to doing the inputs, it will give you such a quality of life that you'll just sleep like a baby and you'll attract all the things that you want in life. So if you are somebody who wants to completely optimize your health, your performance, you want to reach your ultimate potential, click the link down below. You can book in a call with myself. If you're an entrepreneur, founder, manager who's looking to maximize that income, energy, and therefore your impact, go click that link. If not, if you're not already, go follow me on Instagram. I'm posting on there daily stories, content, etc. I got a ton of stuff going on over there. And then just to subscribe and like this video if you guys got a ton of value. Let me know, comment down below. If you guys like this, gonna come from the heart, want to share, really want to just build a connection with you guys and share these stories. So expect more on the YouTube. Been loving doing these videos. And let me know what else you guys want to see. Make it happen. Out.